Good afternoon, family. If you're coming on, I want you to hit that like button, hit that share button. Do me a favor, tag Lolly Dolly, everybody. Let them know Prophet Ramone and the Ramonepreston show is live in his house on this beautiful day in this beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. We're live in our Buckhead studio headquarters, and I'm excited about what we're going to be discussing today. Please, if you would be so kind, if you're on our Facebook page, I want you to hit that like button, hit that share button, and tag Lolly Dolly everybody. Don't just tag somebody, tag Lolly Dolly everybody. If you're on our YouTube page watching us live, I want you to hit the share button. I guess you can share it from YouTube. I'm not quite sure. Please drop in the comments what city you're representing. Wherever you're watching us from, drop in the comments. We're ready to share with you some very important information. As always, I'm appreciative to every one of you that continue to support the Ramonepreston show for the last few months now. We have been hosting the Ramonepreston show live. We come to you every Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock noon, bringing you the most important information with regard to biblical economics. That is, we're sharing with you information on financial literacy, on entrepreneurship, on business ownership, on investments, on family legacy wealth building. That's what my assignment is, and that's what we've continued to do. Our goal is to empower you, to educate you, to inspire you, to inform you, to heighten your awareness on how important it is for you as people of God, particularly in this season, to get your financial game together, to get your business game together, to see to it that you have a solid foundation economically so you could get to your next level. So thank you for joining the Ramonepreston show. Please hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody, because today I am going to be talking about how to create a business plan. If you ever wondered how to create a business plan, or if you've had people to tell you that you need a business plan, even if you have a nonprofit organization, I want to show you how to actually create a business plan. I'm going to give you my version of creating a business plan. It's actually 5 steps that I use to teach and I use to implement in my own life, which, by the way, everything that I share with you on the Ramonepreston show, it is centered around my personal playbook, which is the Blueprint Game Plan, our signature online educational training program that we use to teach you all of these principles. So if you do not have access to our Blueprint Game Plan, we're going to give you an opportunity to have access to it today. And we are going to give you an opportunity to be a part of what you see behind me, the RP Business Coaching Program. Today is April the 1st, and today is the day that we're officially launching our 1-year business coaching program. Starting today, all the way up to March the 31st or April the 1st of 2022, I am going to be personally coaching an exclusive group of people. We have almost 2 handfuls of people already. We have several people that have committed outside of the people who've locked in, and we're continuing to take as many people as we can in, because there's plenty room at the Cross, and there's plenty room in our business coaching program. So you want to come to the Cross and you want to be a part of our coaching program, we got room for you. But we'll get into all that later. Shout out to all of our tribe members on Facebook, all of our tribe members on YouTube. If you have any questions that you want to ask me during the live show, guess what? You can dial 678-922-1963 extension 1. 678-922-1963 extension 1. You can call me during this live show and I will answer any of the questions that you have concerning finances, business, investments, economics, or whatever it is. All you have to do is dial 678 922-1963, and we will take your call live on the Ramonepreston Show. So today we're talking about how to create a business plan. If you ever wondered how to create a business plan, I'm gonna give you the game, and it's gonna be a simple way. It's my way, and it works for me, and I know it'll work for you. How to create a business plan. Before I give you the 5 steps that I use to create a business plan, I want to give you a definition for what a business plan is. What is a business plan? Here's what my definition is. A business plan is a written description of your business's future, for what you plan to do and how you plan on doing it. So when you think of a business plan, if you have an idea for a business, if you have an idea for a ministry, if you have an idea for some entrepreneurial endeavor and you're thinking about putting a business plan together, what are you actually putting together? You're putting together a written description of the future for what you plan to do and for how you plan to do it, whether it's a nonprofit, for-profit, or whether it's both. All right, so I'm going to give you 5 steps to creating a business plan. Now, here's a very important point I want to make about this whole concept or idea of a business plan. This whole idea or concept of this written description for how you plan to do certain things and why you plan to do it and what you plan to do. All this stuff that we call a business plan. Here's a very important point I want to make. A business plan is not for banks. A business plan is not for investors. A business plan is not for some type of partners that you want to woo or you want to impress with a whole bunch of lofty words. A business plan is for you as the owner of this business. So that means if a business plan doesn't make sense to you, it ain't gonna make sense to nobody else. Because what you're gonna find out, especially the more you talk to banks, the more you talk to lenders, the more you talk to potential investors, here's what you're gonna find out. They're not concerned about all the words that you put in a business plan. They're not concerned about all the lofty language that you use to try to impress them about this great idea or this great concept that you have called a business or a ministry. They're going to be concerned about the numbers. They're going to be concerned about the math. They're going to be concerned about the metrics of what you plan to do and how you plan to do it, which is why I want to show you 5 steps to creating a business plan, because 3 of these 5 steps is going to be centered around numbers. 3 of these 5 steps is going to be centered around math. 3 of these 5 steps is going to be centered around metrics. Because if you don't know them numbers, if you don't know that math, if you don't know the metrics, you ain't really got no business plan. Like a lot of people, and this is what I found myself dealing with when I didn't know anything about this, and I used to try to do my research and reach out to people and get other information about a business plan. Everybody would always tell me, oh, you need to put a business plan together. I'm like, okay, so what does a business plan look like? And then they would give examples of business plans. Or if you would Google how to put a business plan together, it's 30, 40 pages. It's a couple thousand words of all this language and all this information and all these statistics and all this data. It's good, but the truth is, when you take that to a lender, when you take that to an investor, when you take that to a banker, when you take that to somebody who could potentially support or finance whatever your business is, they ain't really paying attention to all them words. They skipping all them pages. And guess what they looking for? The numbers. Guess what they looking for? The math. Guess what they looking for? The metrics. They want to see the numbers, the math, and the metrics. So a business plan is a written description of your business's future for what you plan to do and how you plan on doing it. In other words, if you have not participated in our blueprint game plan, you may not know this, but if you have, this is going to sound familiar to you. A business plan is basically a detailed version of your company legacy. I teach in our entrepreneurs program, which is a part of our blueprint game plan. I teach all of our students and our clients how to create a company legacy. So that means you have to have a bigger picture on what you ultimately want to do and how you ultimately want to do it. We're talking about like a 40, 50 year picture, a 40, 50 year plan. So a business plan is actually a detailed version of your company legacy. So if you got a bigger picture on what you plan to do, like for the next 30, 40 years, and how you actually plan on doing it for the next 30, 40 years, a business plan is kind of like a detailed, modified, smaller version of that company legacy. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you the five steps, and then I'll come back and I'll walk you through each of these 5 steps, okay? 5 steps to creating your business plan. Step number 1, you must describe your industry. This is step 1. You must describe your industry. Step 1, you must describe your industry. I want you to write this down, or you're gonna have to go back and listen to it again. And listen, if for some reason you still don't get the bigger picture and you feel like, you know what, I need this information in my hand, all this information, all this teaching and training is in our Blueprint Game Plan program. And you might want even more. You could get it in our business coaching program, so I can walk you through all of these lessons and these teachings and training. So step 1 to creating a business plan is you must describe your industry. Step 2, you must describe your market. You must describe your market. That's step 2. You must describe your market. Step 3, you must describe your profits. I told you 3 of the 5 steps are all about numbers. You must describe your profits. That's step 3. You must describe your profits. Step 4, you must describe your projections. You must describe your projections. You must describe your projections. And step 5, you must deploy your efforts. You must deploy your efforts. So again, if you have an idea for a business, if you have an idea for a ministry, if you have an idea for both, if you have a side hustle, if you got products and services that you pushing and introducing to the market, and you're trying to figure out how to bring everything together so that it can make sense. In other words, if you're trying to figure out how to create a business plan, not for banks, not for investors, not for the SBA, not for a local investor, not to impress me or someone else, for yourself as a business owner, your business plan should consist of these 5 steps. These are the 5 things that you must do to create a business plan. Step 1, describe your industry. Step 2, describe your market. Step 3, describe your profits. Step 4, describe your projections. And step 5, deploy your efforts. Those are the 5 steps to create a business plan. As I mentioned before, 3 of these 5 steps are all centered around numbers. They're all centered around math. They're all centered around metrics, because most business plans that I have seen and I have read and I have observed, most business plans are not centered around math, metrics, or numbers. Most business plans are centered around a whole bunch of words, a whole bunch of sentences, some statistics, some surveys, some studies, but it's not enough math, there's not enough metrics, it's not enough numbers involved, which means it's really not enough business plan. You know you ain't got a business plan when you got 15 pages about what you finna do, how you gonna do it, what the stats are, what the market is, and all this language, and you can't even understand it. A business plan is supposed to be understood clearly by the business owner. So we're gonna get into the details of these 5 steps to create a business plan. If you have any questions concerning this or anything else with regard to financial literacy, entrepreneurship, business ownership, investments, or wealth building, biblical economics as a whole, I want you to dial 678-922-1963, extension 1. 678-922-1963, extension 1, and we'll take your answer live on this show. We'll take your question live. I'm talking about we'll take your answer live. Wow, we'll take your question. How did I get here? We'll take your question live on the Ramonepreston Show, and we will give you an answer live on the Ramonepreston Show. All right? So let's get into it. 5 steps to create a business plan. Describe your industry, describe your market, describe your profits, describe your projections, deploy your efforts. So let's look at the first step of describing your industry. How do you describe your industry? Here is how you describe your industry: by answering a few questions. The first question that you're going to answer to help you describe your industry is, what's your one thing? This is how you're going to describe your industry. What is your one thing? What is the one thing? What is the one thing that you know you're supposed to be doing? What is your one thing? See, the one thing that you're supposed to be doing, it's kind of like your purpose. It's kind of like your mission for life. It's kind of like your calling. It's kind of like your sweet spot. This is your one thing. All right, your one thing, let's say, for example, may be sales. You may just be a good salesperson. Your one thing may be marketing. You may just be a good marketer. Your one thing may be cooking. Your one thing may be organizing. Your one thing may be supporting other people, or helping other people, or serving other people, or assisting other people. Your one thing may be hair. Your one thing may be nails. Your one thing may be designing. Your one thing may be clothes. Your one thing may be cars. Whatever your one thing is, I'm talking about that one thing that makes you you, that one thing that you know if you did for the next 50 years, you'll be okay doing it. That one thing is actually helping you to describe your industry. A lot of people don't take enough time to find out or to identify with the one thing. Like for me, my one thing is communicating. My one thing is speaking. My one thing is teaching. My one thing is talking. My one thing is engaging people, because this is what I do. My calling is a prophet / preacher / teacher. So I'm called to be a speaker. I'm called to be a communicator. This is my calling. Now, because I understand my one thing, it gives me a better direction to the industry that I need to be focusing on. So there are other topics that I might talk on. It may be diverse, but at least I know my one thing. So in order for you to describe your industry, you have to answer the question, what's your one thing? What is the one thing that you know, this is just you. This who you is. This what you do. Here's the second question for describing your industry. What are you best at? What are you best at? That's not the one thing. Like, for example, I am called, or I know my life's mission is to communicate, to educate, to teach people, to train people. This is my one thing. Okay, so when I look at what am I best at, now I have to look at certain areas within the industry of communicating that help me to describe my personality and my character and my strengths, the very area of the communication industry, the very area of the speaking or teaching industry that I know makes me who I am. All right. So, for example, all of the communication that I do, think about it, all of the talking that I do, how many times have you heard me talk about cryptocurrency? I don't talk about it because I'm not good at it. That's not what I'm best at. How many times have you heard me talk about grass and trees? I don't talk about grass and trees. I talk about a whole lot of things. But how many times have you heard me talk about paint or color schemes or fabric? You know why? Because those are industries that don't make my one thing, and they don't describe and define what I'm best at. So even though I'm in the industry of speaking and communicating and being a thought leader, I know what I'm best at. I'm best at financial literacy. I'm best at entrepreneurship. I'm best at business ownership or starting and structuring businesses. I'm best at certain areas of investment. So even though you see other industries that are kind of interconnected to my main industry, but my main industry is still education, communication. It's still teaching and training. So that helps me to describe my industry. So you have to describe your industry by answering the question, number one, what's your one thing? What is the one thing that you know this just you? You have to answer the question, what are you best at? What are you best at? Because you shouldn't be trying to be all things to all people. You should focus on the one thing that you know that makes you you and figure out what are you best at in that industry? What are you best at in that industry? If you're in sales, okay, what are you selling? Because you might not be good at selling cars, even though you're in the sales industry. You may be good at selling food. You may be good at selling information. You may be good at selling hair. I don't know what you're good at selling. But if you're in the sales industry, if this is the one thing that you love to do, then you have to figure out what are you best at, all right? Now, the next question under the describing your industry is how can you best deploy it? How can you best deploy it? In other words, what is the best way for me to take my one thing of communication, all right, the areas of communication that I'm best at, what is the best way for me to deploy that? Well, it took me years to figure out that one of the best ways for me to deploy my ability to communicate information about money, information about business, it took me years to figure out that one of the best ways for me to deploy it is through virtual training courses, to deploy it through a coaching program, to deploy it through a consulting business. So even though I am identifying with the one thing that I have, which is communication, because I know how to study, I know how to educate myself, I know how to learn, and I learn so well that I'm able to take what I learn and package it and repurpose it in a way that I can communicate it to others to help them learn better and to shorten their learning curve. So it's not like what I communicate and what I teach you can't go find somewhere else, but it may take you longer to learn it if I don't teach it to you. It may be more difficult for you to learn it. You may have certain learning barriers if you're hearing it from someone else because they may be saying it they may be saying the same thing I'm saying it, but because they're not saying it the way I'm saying it and they don't have the personality or the one thing of communication like I do, it may not come across to you like that. So because communication is my one thing, because I'm best at communication, things that I know I'm passionate about, like money, finances, entrepreneurship, business, ministry, investments, and wealth building, now I have to figure out how can I best deploy that. Well, I found out that me putting all this information in a book is not the best way for me to deploy it. Because if I put everything I know in a book and somebody reads the book, they're not going to get it the way they get it if they hear me. See what I'm saying? And as a matter of fact, some of you that are part of our coaching program, if you have had a chance to be coached by me, or if you've had a chance to be consulted by me, you can honestly say How you learn from me if you're on my blueprint game plan, my virtual program, is different than how you learn from me if you're sitting in front of me. You learn better learning from me in person than you do learning from me on a video. Because this is my greatest gift. This is my greatest asset. But guess what? You got to figure yours out. This is the first step to create a business plan. You have to describe your industry. If you have any questions, call in 678-922-1963. So did that make sense to y'all? So your first step to creating a business plan is to describe your industry. How do you describe your industry? By making sure you know what your one thing is. My one thing is communication. By making sure you know what you're best at. What I'm best at is communicating information about finances, about entrepreneurship, about business ownership, about ministry leadership, about investments, okay? So now you have to find out how can you best deploy it. I know the best way for me to deploy what I'm good at as a communicator is for me to deploy it through consulting, through coaching, and through virtual online training. And the best way is for me to consult somebody, because when somebody is sitting in front of me and they're able to get information from me in person, it's a whole different reception. It's a whole different revelation that comes to somebody from coaching and consulting than it is if they're getting it online. That's why a lot of people that have purchased our blueprint game plan have automatically converted over to getting coaching or consulting, because they like, man, I learn better from you in person than I do what you're teaching online. I don't take it personal because I already know I'm best in person. I'm best when you can engage me, but you got to know what your industry is. All right. The second step to create a business plan is to describe your market. Your industry is different from your market. How do you describe your market? By answering a few questions. Number one, you have to find out who's your target. This is how you describe your market, by finding out who's your target. Don't say, oh, I'm just trying to save the world. No, you ain't. It's just some people you ain't studying. It's just some people you're not thinking about. I remember when we were interviewing, remember last year when we were interviewing some PR firms? Yes. And we went through a process with one PR firm, which, what was it, Lou? Yeah, he was really good. But he was like 20, 30 years into the business. You know, I mean, he's like a real heavy hitter. Expensive, but a heavy hitter, because he know his stuff. And when one of the first questions he asked me when he was assessing our business was, who's your target? He wanted to know who's your target. And so I had to give him an honest assessment of who my target is. Basically, who's buying your products? Who's buying your products? So if you're gonna describe your market, you gotta know who's your target. Because if you're targeting people that don't fit the criteria or don't fit the profile for your product and service, that's gonna affect how you sell it. It's gonna hinder how you make money. You've got to find out who's your target, and guess what? The second part of describing your market is finding out where they are. Because sometimes, depending on who your target is, they're not in certain places that other people are in. So for example, if your target is teenagers, you're gonna find more teenagers on TikTok than you are on Facebook. But if your target is like 40, 50-year-olds, you're probably gonna find them on Facebook more than you find them on TikTok. You see what I mean? If your target is people who like to learn, who are very inquisitive, because your product or your service is for those type of people, your target might be on YouTube more than they're on Facebook. Some of them may not even be online. Some of them may be just somewhere in person. But you have to find out who's your target, where they are, And then the next part of describing your market is finding out how can you get their attention. How can you get their attention? Let me tell you something. This is so important because the first two questions that I just, the first two steps that I just gave you, they're going to be centered around how you sell and market your products and services. Those are the first two steps. Describe your industry and describe your market. That's going to have everything to do with how you sell and market your products and services. And if you cannot answer those two questions today, it doesn't mean you won't never be able to answer them. It just means you have to start the research and development process to find out. Me and my wife, we were just having a conversation, like in one of our strategy sessions, like we always have. We have so many strategy sessions, they feel like just regular conversations because she's my business partner. She's one of my greatest advisors, confidants, and she helps me make a lot of the business decisions I make, and she helps to filter a lot of the ideas and concepts that I have. But basically, we were having a conversation, and the conversation was centered around finding new ways to find where the people we're targeting are, because I'm really pushing our coaching program right now, because I'm really working on further pushing our consulting group. This is a different clientele that we're reaching. Our coaching program is directed towards a certain clientele. Our consulting group is directed towards another kind of clientele. Our blueprint game plan program is targeting a different type of clientele. So we are developing strategies on how to target each of these types of people, but this is about describing your industry and your market. If you don't have these two steps answered with the questions that I just gave you, then you're going to have to start the research and development. You have to work on it. It may not happen in a day. It may take you some time, but you got to start the process to figure out, like, who's responding to me, who isn't, who likes what I have and who doesn't, who are the people who are really catching on to what I got, and what is their profile? What is their profile? So the people who respond to me for my consulting, for my coaching, for my blueprint game plan, the people that respond to me for my next level network, my ministry network, the people who respond to me for my school of prophets, the people who respond to me for my ministry training, for speaking engagements, these are all the people that fit a certain profile. And I'm able to look at the type of person that is, or the type of ministry that is, or the type of business that is, or the type of client or customer that is, and I'm able to help describe not just my industry, but I'm able to help describe my market. And I'm able to see, oh, this is the type of person that really loves this program. This is the type of person that really loves this type of information. This is the type of person that really loves this type of teaching and training. And now I'm able to target them and find out where I can get their attention. And I'm not wasting a lot of time in spinning my wheels. Now, the next three steps, like I told y'all, the next three steps are centered around numbers, math, and metrics. So step number one was what? Describe your industry. Step number two was describe your market. So what is the third step to create a business plan? Describe your profits. How do I describe my profits? All right, here's how you describe your profits. You have to determine how much revenue do you want to make? How much revenue do you want to make with this business idea that you have? With this ministry idea? And guess what? You got to generate revenue in your ministry. That it doesn't look the same as your business, but if you got a nonprofit or a ministry, you still got to generate revenue. That means, okay, you might not have customers, but you got to have sponsors. You have to have donors. You have to have people to support it, or you have to have certain products and services that you can provide for a profit to help finance your nonprofit organization. But either way, step number three to describe your profits begins with you figuring out or determining how much revenue do you want to make. Now, I recommend that you look at it from a year out. So how much revenue do you want to make for a year? And then once you decide what that number is for a year, you come back and figure it out by the month, by the week, and by the day. All right? So the first part of describing your profits is finding out or determining how much revenue do you want to make. The second part of that is determining how much revenue do you need to make. That's a big difference. You better catch that. Don't miss it. That's free. So in order to describe your profits for your nonprofit or for your for-profit or for both, you have to determine how much revenue do you want to make for the next year. This is a conversation that I'm going to be having with everyone that's a part of our 1-year coaching program. How much money do you want in the next 12 months? And the next question is going to be, how much money do you need? Because you may want $1 million. So you right here talking about, yeah, I want to make $1 million in the next 12 months. Okay, but how much money do you need? Well, I need 28,000. That means I want $1 million, but I need. That means I have to have 28,000 just to pay my bills. So those are two different sets of numbers. But you got to do the math on that. You got to do this is a part of your business plan. You got to do the math. So for example, if you want to make $100,000, okay, in the next 12 months, all right, there go 100,000. Pull your calculator out. That's 100,000, right? You want to make 100,000. So now I'm gonna put $100,000 in my calculator and I'm gonna divide it by 12. So that means to describe my profits is for me to say, oh, I want to make $8,333 every month for the next 12 months. That means I need $8,333 in April, May, June, July, all the way to April of 2022. But then I want to divide it by the week. 8,333 divided by 4 is 2,083. So that's how much money I want or revenue I want in my business every week for the next 52 weeks. I want $2,083. But now I'm going to divide that $2,083 a week by 7. That means in order for me to make $100,000 in a year, I need to make $297 a day for the next 365 days. And every day I miss that, I got to double it the next day. This is how you describe your profits. Now, if you have certain products and services that you're providing, you're going to attach those products and services to that number. So let's say, for example, if you have a $50 product, right? Let's say if you're selling a $50 product, that means in order for you to make $297, how many products do you have to sell a day? You have to sell 6 products. You have to sell 6 $50 products is $300. So that means every day, in order for you to make $297, you have to figure out how to sell 6 products. So if you sell 6 products a day for 365 days at $50, you're going to have $100,000. So now you're able to better mathematically understand how you hit that revenue goal. And you're going to go through the same process with not just how much revenue do you want to make, but now you got to go through the process with how much revenue you need to make. Because you may want to make $100,000 in the next 12 months, but you may need to make $40,000 just to pay your bills and just to live. So you have to have both of those numbers so that you ain't right here missing the boat. Because if you want to make $297 a day in your business to get to $100,000 in 12 months, but you know you need to make $80 a day just so that all your bills are paid in 30 days, then that means you got to sell 2. Your worst case scenario is I got to sell 2 products a day. My best case scenario is 6. Anything over 6 is just cushion, but I got to sell 2. So now every day you wake up, You ain't thinking about, oh, I need $2,000 this month. No, you looking at it as, I got to sell 2 products today. That's a different mindset, because now you're getting into the numbers game. So the third step to creating a business plan is to describe your profits. Step number 4 is to describe your projections. This runs right into your profits, because how do you describe your projections? This is how you describe your projections, by finding out how many prospects will you need to reach. So let's say in that $100,000 scenario that I just gave, that's $297 a day in order for you to make $100,000 a year. If you want to make 6 figures a year, you got to make $297 a day, $2,083 a week, $8,333 a month for $100,000 a year. That $297 a day is going to be based on or put against what products and services that you're selling. You might be selling a $297 product, which means, guess what? You just need to sell 1 product a day. But in order for you to describe your projections, you got to figure out how many prospects will you reach and how many times will you reach them. So that means how many people do I need to actually get in front of in order to sell one $50 product? Because if it takes me talking to 10 people to sell one $50 product, and I know I need to sell 6, then that means I got to talk to how many people? I got to talk to 60 people a day just to sell 6 products, because I sell 1 product every 10 people. So now every day I got to wake up and say, man, I got to find 60 people to talk to. So now I ain't got time to be goofing off. I don't have time to be playing games. Trust me, y'all be seeing me on these lives. Y'all see me on this show. Y'all see ads and marketing campaigns on social media. I'm not goofing off. We doing business. You know why? Because I know there's a certain amount of people I need to get in front of. There's a certain amount of posts I have to put out. There's a certain amount of ads that I got to run. There's a certain amount of marketing that I got to do. There's so many numbers of people that I know need to see me and hear what I'm teaching and what I'm talking about in order for a certain amount of people to respond. And then there's a certain amount of people that's going to respond, and from that, a certain amount of people is going to purchase, or at least inquire, to give me an opportunity to get on the phone and tell them who I am and what I'm doing, to give me an opportunity to give them a presentation, to give me an opportunity to let them know what my product is or what my service is. This is about describing your projections. Man, I'm giving y'all some game today. I'm giving y'all some game. I'm not giving you a whole lot of la-la. You know, the la-la, the rah-rah. This is real stuff that you have to do in order for you to see results. So the 4th step is for you to describe your projections. Step number 5, deploy your efforts. How do you deploy your efforts? How do you deploy your efforts? Here's how you deploy your efforts: by figuring out how many exchanges can you utilize. How many exchanges can you utilize? How do you deploy your efforts? By first finding out how many exchanges can you utilize. What do you mean by exchanges? If you've been through my entrepreneurs course, you know I teach you about business exchanges. And the way I teach it is that a business exchange is about you giving something you have that's valuable to someone else, either for a profit or for a purpose that leads to a profit. So that means even if you're not selling a product, right, you have to make a certain amount of exchanges. So that means you have to take a certain amount of time and allocate it to just give what you got away. If that means you got to do 10 social media posts a day, and on those 10 posts, you're giving away 1 product, that means you're giving away 10 products a day. Or if you have a certain service, if you're a consultant, if you're a coach, if you're a speaker, if you're a motivator, if you're an entertainer, whatever you are, you're doing it 10 times a day saying, I'm giving somebody free 10-minute consultation, right? Free 20-minute consultation to 10 people. So that means I'm giving away a couple hours a day just to consult people. But if you do 10 of those a day for 30 days, that how many is that? That's 300. Yeah, 10 times 30 is 300, right? Let me make sure I'm right. Oh. Yeah, that's 300. So think about it. If you did 10 free, if you're a consultant, you're giving 10 20-minute free consultations away. That's 300 consultations you can give away in a month if you do one every day for 30 days. Even if you just did one 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, that's 20. That's 200 consultations. How many people out of the 200 people you consult for free for 20 minutes, how many of those 200 people will call back and be like, how much do you charge for a 2-hour consultation? Because the 20 minutes changed my life. If you do 200 a month, 200 times 12, that's 2,400 people a year you can give away a free 20-minute consultation doing 10 a day for 5 days a week. Ain't no way in this world you're going to do 2,400 consultations a year and somebody don't buy your consultation service or your products. So if you're selling a $20 product, you buy 100 products for $2,000, right? 100 times 20. If you're selling a $20 product, that means you got to buy 100 products at $2,000. Well, you need to buy another 50 for $1,000 just to give away. Because if you give 50 away, just to sell 100, then you're going to be able to know what your metrics are and what your numbers are based on selling 100. So in order for you to deploy your efforts, you have to know how many exchanges can you utilize. That means how many things you can give away for free. How many people can you just serve and help? How many other customers that you could just service, just to give them an opportunity to see who you are and what you have. And you have to figure out how much time do you need to invest. Most entrepreneurs don't invest enough time in their entrepreneurial endeavors. And because they don't invest enough time, guess what happens? They don't see the results because they just want to see results from profits rather than results from just serving a purpose. So every day I come on here for an hour or so, Monday through Friday, with a show, teaching things that people pay me as a consultant to teach them. Teaching things people pay me as a coach to teach them. Teaching things that people pay me to have access to my online training program to teach them. I'm teaching these things for free. Why? Because it's only a certain amount of people that's going to watch this show for free, get this information, that won't respond. Somebody is going to listen to me at some point and be like, man, I've been listening to you for like 3-4 months. I know you know what you're talking about. It ain't no way in this world you could be talking that good and don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to invest in your program. I'm going to invest in your coaching. I'm going to invest in your consulting. And guess what? How many people do we have on a regular basis that just call and they don't even invest in it, but they watch the show and then they call or they send an email, and guess what? They might have 1 or 2 questions, and what we do a lot of times, we'll answer the questions and be like, if you need any other help, just let us know. You might not be ready to buy nothing, but it's only so many people that's going to do that before somebody says, you know what, I'm going to go and buy it. But we've had people to call and guess what? Purchase consulting, coaching, blueprint game plans, buy a book. It's just a part of the process that you allow yourself to go through because you have made it a part of your business plan. All right, guys, gals, ladies, gentlemen, this is it. I'm finished. Those are the 5 steps to create a business plan. But here's what I want to say to y'all. Today begins our 1 year business coaching program for 52 weeks. For 52 weeks, from April of 2021 to April of 2022, Prophet Ramonepreston's staff, Prophet Ramonepreston's organizational enterprise is literally going to coach you and walk you through a 1-year process. My goal, my projection for you as a client, as a part of our 1-year business coaching program, is to get you to 6 figures and beyond. just with me discussing the practice of creating a business plan, if you listen to me, you can see that it's not that difficult, especially if you have the right systems, the right support, and the right structure. So I am going to be working with everyone that joins our coaching program to make sure that you have the right systems. And when I say systems, I'm talking about a couple strategic systems that you got to have as an executive, in your marketing, in your sales, in your finances, and in your operations. And then I want to make sure you have the right support. So for 52 weeks, you're going to have support. You're going to have one-on-one support. You're going to have group coachings, masterminds to help support you. You're going to have virtual coaching sessions. You're going to have virtual training sessions. I'm going to give you access to the courses and the content that is directly connected to you. So if you want to be a part of our 1-year business coaching program that we have officially launched and kicked off beginning today, and you have not signed up, I want you to reach out to me today. I want you to either call or text the word coaching. Call or text the word coaching to 404-478-7213. Text or call. But if you text, I want you to text the word coaching to 404-478-7213, and we're going to get back with you. There's a process that we're going to go through. We're asking for an initial down payment. This 1-year coaching program is actually an extended version of our signature 90-day coaching program. When we launched our business coaching program, we launched it a few months ago initially as a 90-day coaching program. And immediately we had a couple people who jumped on our 90-day coaching program. It blew their minds. It changed their lives, their businesses, their ministries, their organizations, to the point that one couple went through our 90-day coaching program, and even before the 90 days was up, they signed up for another 90-day coaching program. And so what I decided to do, talking to my team and really thinking about how we can make a greater impact in the lives of the people who we are already in front of and that we're already serving, whether it's through our real estate business or through our blueprint game plan, we decided to take our signature 90-day coaching program and extend it for an entire year, which means in this 1-year business coaching program, you're actually getting 4 90-day coaching programs for the price of one. It's something that you can't, you're not even gonna get it nowhere else like that. I already know that. And guess what? Not only am I over promising, but I'm over delivering, because we're gonna have 52 weeks that's full of one-on-one coaching sessions, group coaching masterminds, virtual coaching sessions, virtual training sessions, and other added bonuses that we're gonna put into that 1-year coaching program to make sure that you get to 6 figures and beyond. And if you're on 6 figures and beyond, guess what? We're going to make sure that you get to 7.
So explain step 5.
We got a question, everybody.
Yeah, can you explain step 5 just a little bit more?
Okay, we have a question. Say what now?
Can you explain the 5th step a little bit more?
Okay, they want me to explain the 5th step a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit.
The 5th step to creating a business plan is to deploy your efforts. To deploy your efforts. That's just a sophisticated way of me saying, now it's time for you to do the work. But if you know your industry, if you know your market, if you have an idea of how much money you want to make, and you put that number against the products and services that you are providing, and you understand your projections based on how many people you need to reach, when you get to step 5 to deploying your efforts, now you're trying to figure out how many exchanges can you make and how much time you need to invest. And so what I mean by deploying your efforts through making exchanges and investing time is you've got to decide. I'm going to simplify it for you. To deploy your efforts, it means you've got to start giving a certain amount of your products and services away. You got to start serving your community, your audience, your market in that industry. That may mean you need to, let's say if you are in the landscaping business, right? In order for you to deploy your efforts in the landscaping business by making exchanges and investing time in these exchanges, as a landscaper, you can't just run ads saying you're the best landscaper. You can't just pass out cards and flyers and think, if I pass out 500 cards, 5 people are going to respond. If I pass out 500 flyers, 50 people are going to respond. That's not a real deployment of your efforts because you're not making real exchanges. What you may say is, I'm going to go into a certain neighborhood or subdivision and I'm going to find the president of that subdivision and let the president know, if you can give everybody my information at your next association meeting, I'll cut your grass free for a year. So you just exchanged something valuable to the president of a subdivision where there are 80 other homes. Now you're giving away a lot to cut their grass once or twice a month for a year and to blow their yard and to make sure that their yard looks good. But guess what you're also doing? You have made an exchange for a purpose that at some point is going to lead to a profit. Because guess what everybody going to ask the president of that association? Who doing your yard? Oh, Ramonepreston's landscape is doing my yard. Do you have his information? Actually, his cards are on the table. And he's giving a 20% discount to everybody that call through me. You just got access to 80 homes in a subdivision, which could probably take your business to 6 figures and beyond just because you made one exchange by deploying your efforts. You do the same thing in any other industry or market. So that's what I mean by deploying your efforts, which means you're making exchanges. You're trying to figure out, how many exchanges can I make? If you're selling certain products or services, you need to be online every day, like Ramonepreston is, sharing information. Everything I'm sharing with y'all, I use as a consultant. So if you're listening to something that I'm saying for free and you like, oh, I love what he say, you can actually go to Ramonepreston.com. You could click on the RP Consulting Group, and me and my company will consult your company, your ministry, your team, you. I provide consulting services. You can go to Ramonepreston.com and click on coaching program, and guess what? My company will coach you. I will coach you. I will coach your whole team. I'll coach your whole church. I'll coach your whole business, your whole staff. You can go to Ramonepreston.com and you can click on Blueprint Game Plan and get access to our online training program that teaches you everything I teach you in person as a consultant and as a coach, only on a virtual platform. So I'm making exchanges every day when I show up. When you see ads and commercials that I run, a lot of those ads and commercials, I'm talking about my products and services. Those are exchanges that I'm making. So whether I get paid or not from ads that I run, whether I get paid or not from business that I get from the Ramonepreston show, I still have to make these exchanges because this is a part of my business plan to deploy my efforts. So I hope I answered that question.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed today's edition of the Ramonepreston show on how to create a business plan. If you would like to be a part of our coaching program and you want to go on a journey with me and my business, my company, my team, my squad, and others for 1 year, I want you to text the word coaching to 404-478-7213. Otherwise, you can take a look at our consulting services that we provide. If you just need consulting, it may be one-time consulting services, or it may be consulting services that you need just for a few months to get your finances in order, your business in order, your ministry in order, or you just want to restructure your organizational enterprise like a holding company. We provide consulting services for that, which if you're being coached by me in this year, I'm going to give you those consulting services for free. And if you want to be a part of our online training program called our Blueprint Game Plan, all the information that I'm talking about you can find on Ramonepreston.com. Go to Ramonepreston.com, Ramonepreston.com. Tomorrow, guess what we're going to be talking about? I gave y'all a heads up the other day. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how to evaluate your business. So if you have a business idea, or if you got a business that's already in operation and you're just trying to figure out, how do I evaluate it? How do I know what my business is worth? I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I love y'all. Praying for you. Let us know if we can serve you by going to Ramonepreston.com or texting coaching, text blueprint, just text anything, or call 404-478-7213. Love you. Have an amazing day.